Hello and what is up, YouTube? My name is G3Iron, your favorite balding, bearded commentary gaming guy, and today we're here with some Monster Mods FAQ answers to questions that have arisen since the arch nemesis basically discussion and manifesto came out. There's been a whole lot of discussion, a whole lot of reaction within inside the PoE community, and so much so that Grinding Gear Games, I think, probably already had this in the works. This is a lot of answers to a lot of questions that came out pretty quick. For it to just be purely reactionary, they were probably already thinking these things through, even as they were developing and making changes. Maybe even writing this in conjunction with the manifesto. Just thinking through the way how businesses do things. Sometimes you prepare a lot of materials and you go, okay, we need to release this material. This is how we need to cover this. This is how we need to respond to that. And sometimes those prepared materials don't get used. Sometimes you go, you know what? We actually don't need to answer those questions. Sometimes companies choose to say, we'd rather not prepare answers for questions. We'll just wait until the questions come in. But my sense is with the number of questions that are here answered and interacted with and the level of depth of thought that went into releasing just these individual manifestos, my sense is that they probably, over at Grinding Gear Games, had some level of forethought about how they were going to address frequently asked questions in relationship to the arch nemesis mod changes and to the reworking of some of those core concepts about monster difficulty and monster encounters. So without any further ado, let's dive in. Of course, at any point in time, if you feel like I've made a mistake or you've got comments or you've got thoughts on anything that we're interacting with, love to hear them and read them down below. Okay, there have been a lot of questions about the upcoming new system for Monster Mods that was announced in yesterday's Balance Manifesto. In today's post, we're providing answers to some of the most frequently asked questions. So here's question number 1. Since the mods are simplified and separated, does that mean rare monsters will now have more mods on average to compensate? How many mods can a rare monster have now? Answer: we're currently playtesting the new monster mod system to determine this. At the moment, it's 2 to 4, but this may change as we continue to iterate. So there you go, 2 to 4. That's the range that we've got right now. Next question: will the modifier's effects be made more intense to compensate for their simplification? In other words, are monsters getting a buff? Like if there's less stuff on them, is the stuff that is on them getting buffed? These are new mods that have similar themes to old ones, but have new balance values. You guys seeing this? You guys see this little sentence right here? New balance values. Read that as overtuned as heck. Are we still using that word? Are we still using overtuned? Overpowered? Yeah, that's how I read that. In many cases, these are the same as before, but we're evaluating them on a case-by-case basis. It's mostly the weaker secondary mods that need to be juiced up so that they make sense as a standalone mod. Okay, so prepare for, if, as an example, if fire resistance, was something that was slightly annoying as an individual mod before that was a part of this arch nemesis package that went on to a monster, prepare for it to just be like immune to fire or whatever. Which, by the way, didn't we used to have monsters that basically said, they were immune to certain types of damage or heavily resistant to it? I mean, it's kind of interesting the way how they're reworking some things that, again, were already solved in the past. And so we tried to tweak something which created new problems, which then we go back to the original thing, which was supposedly a problem, but now it's a solution. Anyway, it's funny. Game design's fun. Are rare monsters still getting increased damage, HP, defenses per mod, or only whatever the individual mods on the rare roll? Answer: rare monsters never received additional damage per incremental mod. And the only defenses they received was a life bonus on top of whatever the mod actually did, of course. Under the new system, they will get life, experience, item rarity, and quantity bonus per additional mod. Reading that makes me, if this is not under the new system, everything is overpowered. If under the new system, stuff is just getting some level of percentage bonus or flat bonus, those numbers are going to be very interesting. I am fully expecting the Monday after the league launch. By the way, if you didn't see all the videos and all the hype teases and everything, the Forbidden Sanctum 320 League drops on, I believe it's December 9th, and we're going to get the teaser video and all the league info on December 1st. So I would expect then the 9th is a Friday, 10th is a Saturday, 11th is a Sunday. I would expect on the 12th, at least U.S. time, for there to be some level of announcement or some sort of announcement of, hey, here's what we're working on based on all your feedback from the weekend, from the opening launch. Here's what went well. Here's what didn't go well. And here's what we're tweaking about the monster mods that we've been tweaking and messing with in playtesting. Next question. Will the changes made to reduce the number of rare monsters spawned in various mechanics be undone now that each individual rare encounter is less likely to be a major burden on the player? No. Okay, that's good news. If rares are becoming essentially easier to deal with and less of a, oh my gosh, what just blew me up because there's a rare in that pack, then just having more rares in specific various mechanics is a good thing, right? You want to be killing rare monsters in Path of Exile. That's a good thing. So that's good. We're not getting monster density of rares essentially nerfed. Will Pantheon mods still exist with simplified lines such as uses Kitava's skills or something like that? Pantheon mods still exist, but are very rare. Good answer. Will stealing ignites make all our hits ignite? This makes all monster fire damage ignite, so it makes all your fire damage ignite if you steal it. Oh, that's interesting for Headhunter and Inspired Learning. Is this a nerf to Headhunter? Will mods be able to stack like they could before Arch Nemesis? Mods will not be able to stack, as many can't function when stacked. There are more mods to steal, which is a buff to the upper end of Headhunter gameplay. Okay, so for the vast majority of players who are just like, oh my gosh, I just got my first Headhunter and I've never had one before, guess what? You're not going to notice anything because you've never had a Headhunter before. If Forbidden Sanctum League is the first league that you ever get a Headhunter, you can go back and watch videos and you can go on Reddit and on the forums and you can see people complaining about the differences. But guess what? If you've never had a Headhunter before and this is your first league to get one, you're not going to notice the difference. If you continually use a Headhunter, but you're not necessarily using it at the top end of gameplay, it sounds like you might notice some differences. If you're at the top end of gameplay, meaning you're playing with groups, you're spending tons of currency on the encounters that you're playing in groups, you're actually going to get a buff. So I'm going to say this is a streamer buff. This is a casual, won't really be able to tell the difference. And then for everybody in between, super dedicated group play and casual, this is the first time I've ever gotten a Headhunter. Everybody in between that, then this is probably going to be something that you notice and might be something that people even cry about. Can we have examples of some new reward types being introduced? Not yet. There you go. Just the NDA answer. No, you may not. Check back on December 1st when we release the Forbidden Sanctum information on the live stream. Okay. Does this mean I'm forced to play Magic Find all the time now? No, nobody is forced to do anything in Path of Exile. That's part of what makes Path of Exile fun, is that you can choose to do whatever you'd like to do with your character. And then you reap the consequences for those things. But you can choose to do whatever you'd like. You can go play, Glacial Hammer if you'd like. You can go play Glacial Hammer Raider. You can play Glacial Hammer Necromancer. You can go Heavy Blow Gladiator. You can do whatever you'd like to do. You don't have to play Magic Find. My goodness. All right, this is their official answer, though. If you're able to sacrifice character power for Magic Find, then you'll find more and better items. Guys, does this mean Forbidden Sanctum is going to be a bow league? Is Wind Ripper coming back? It sounds like it's a buff. It just sounds like it's a buff to Magic Find. That was true before 319 and is the nature of Magic Find in action RPGs. Okay, Grinding Gear Games is... I think this is my favorite sentence that I've read since I've come back to be reading things and catching up. That was true before 319 and is the nature of Magic Find in action RPGs. You mean if I use the stat that says more stuff drops for me, does that mean I get more stuff? Yes, that's the way action RPGs work. Note that Magic Find has diminishing returns, so a small investment can go a long way. Yeah. But this is that's probably my favorite sentence that I've read over the last week. That was true before 319 and is the nature of Magic Find in action RPGs. Part of the reason why it's also funny is because I haven't done Magic Find. Not only have I not played Path of Exile for the last year, I would legitimately have to search through my channel and go back and find when was the last time I really went heavy Magic Find. It was probably when Tower first dropped as a map, or as a top tier map. No, I think that's probably the most recent time. It would have been when we were zooming through maps. It would have been when we were doing testing 100 maps. Let's run maps, and we were running 100 maps at a time, and then reporting the data on it. But that's cool. That's exciting. All right, how have reward conversions changed? Well, sorry, before I jump on to the next one, this is exciting if you want to do Magic Find stuff. If you don't want to do Magic Find stuff, then this might sound slightly depressing. You know, if you've never killed Shaper before, if you've never killed Uber Elder before, if you can't do the Maven, like, then you're probably going, oh, well, that's a bummer. But guess what? Like, even in that scenario, you don't need to kill the top bosses in the game in order to run a Magic Find character and make big time profits. We've shown that consistently over the years. Like, I am not a full-time Path of Exile streamer guy. Even when I'm playing games, I'm not full-time streaming Path of Exile. That's all I do, and I just grind and make tons of currency. That's not me. We have proven that you can make basically whatever kind of character you want to make, like the unkillable spinning Scion that could just stand in the death ball of Cirrus. You know, back during I forget what league that was. That was Heist League. That's right. It's all coming back to me slowly. But during Heist League, we made the virtually unkillable armor stacker Scion character. We did the Guardian. We did the aura stacking Guardian. Like, we've done some super duper expensive builds as a relatively casual player playing for basically 20 hours a week. So if you only can play on, like, on the weekends for 8 hours a day, which for some of you is going to be minuscule. For others of you, it's going to be massive and you'll never reach that. That's fine. But my point is that coming from a relatively casual perspective of a few hours a day, or a few days of longer gaming, there's a lot of things you can build and touch top end meta builds in Path of Exile. There's a lot of tricks to doing that. There's a lot of different mechanisms to make currency in softcore and do that and make the character that everybody's playing that you want to copy and you want to play, or making your own character that you want to create. So Magic Find is one way to do that. It can be a relatively cheap way, especially early on in a league, to get a little bit of Magic Find on and then just be completing things relatively quickly as you progress through the Atlas and getting stuff to drop early, which is huge. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How have reward conversions changed? We're still working on this, but we can confirm 3 things. Only some of the new rewards are conversion ones. We are removing the undesired or undesirable ones, like conversion to flasks. Thirdly, we are trying to make the rewards from rare monsters not so all or nothing. I would almost rather have all or nothing. Controversial take, hot take coming. I would almost rather have like all or nothing drops, to the point where you can simply just filter out everything. I mean, we have loot filters ad nauseum, right? We all use loot filters. So I'd much rather have the all or nothing monster that, hey, when it drops something and I'm stopping to collect things, it's actually worth it because there's 5 or 6 things for me to pick up, or there's even 2 or 3 things for me to pick up, rather than have more encounters where I'm slowing down and picking up 1 or 2 things. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Leave me a comment if you want clarification on that. It makes sense in my head. It made sense to me as I said it, but if you want more clarification on that, hopefully that makes sense. Does Magic Find still massively affect the reward conversions? We are still iterating on these systems and don't want to set expectations around this in either direction yet. Okay, so this is going to be an Easter egg. This is, hey guys, come play our new league and find out. Hey. This is the tease, as it were. We're still iterating on these systems. So we'll see. Maybe the community team will come out and let us know more info on this. My sense is that this will probably be the last thing that they talk about Monster Mods FAQ. This will probably be the last time they talk about Monster Mods before the stream tease, right? That would be my sense. It's pretty rare, at least in my history of playing Path of Exile since dating back to around Prophecy League. That was really when I picked up the game and started playing it seriously. I'm pretty sure generally two pieces of communication on something is pretty heavy for grinding gear games. And then a third piece of communication is nearly unprecedented. Like that's like, oh my gosh, we had a really bad league and things are going really poorly and our communication has been really bad. And we're trying to put out fires, as there's fires raging. I think that's happened a couple of times where Chris Wilson has had to say, "Hey guys, here was a problem on this, and I take full responsibility. And please don't blame my team. Please don't attack the people who are making the game that we all love." I think that's happened a couple of times in my several years of covering Path of Exile, but I think 2 pieces of communication is generally what we can expect. So I think this is probably it that we're going to hear until the stream on December 1st. So anyway, thanks so much for joining us today. Drop a comment down below with your own thoughts on the changes for the upcoming Arch Nemesis mods. Hopefully the microphone sounds better, and hopefully I got the gain all figured out and fixed. And hopefully the 320 Sanctum League, the Forbidden Sanctum League, is the league that a Mirror of Calandra drops for you. Thanks for watching that video. If you'd like more information on any of our discussion points today, you can see them down below in the video description. If you'd also like to join our Discord or support our Patreon, you can do so with the links down below. Thanks again, and big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters.